You're not weak for caring what people think. You're wired for it. For most of human history, exile meant death. But the dial is miscalibrated. You wildly overestimate how much anyone actually notices you. The spotlight effect. They're not thinking about you. They're worried about what you think of them. You'd worry less about what people think if you realized how seldom they do. By the end, you'll know how to move the dial from their approval to your values. To beat this, name it correctly. Caring what people think isn't a character flaw. It's ancient wiring still firing. Psychologist Mark Leary calls it the sociometer. Your self-esteem is really an internal gauge. It monitors how accepted or rejected you feel by the group. Belonging pushes it up. Exclusion drives it down. Leary and Roy Baumeister mapped this in 1995. Why does the gauge hit so hard? Because evolution wrote the code. For most of human history, banishment from the tribe wasn't social pain. It was a death sentence. No food, no protection, no mates. Exile killed you. So your brain treats rejection like a knife, literally. In 2003, Naomi Eisenberger ran the now famous cyberball study and watched the brain on exclusion. The dorsal anterior cingulate cortex lit up, the same region that processes physical pain. Being left out doesn't feel like pain. It is pain. So that flinch you feel when someone disapproves, it's a survival alarm. The problem is the alarm is firing in a world where it no longer means life or death, and it's about to mislead you in a much bigger way. Here's where it gets strange. The audience you're terrified of? Barely watching. In 2000, Thomas Gilovich and Kenneth Savitsky ran a now classic experiment at Cornell. They had students wear an embarrassing t-shirt into a room of strangers, the kind of shirt you'd rather die than be seen in. The students predicted how many observers would notice. Then they measured reality. The students guessed roughly twice as many people noticed as actually did. Half the room imagined. Gilovich called it the spotlight effect. We systematically overestimate how much others register our appearance, our slip-ups, our awkward moment. Then there's the cousin study. The illusion of transparency, 1998. You think your nerves are leaking out of your face, your shaky voice, your blush. Observers can barely read it. Your inner state is far less visible to others than it feels to you. The reason is simple. Everyone is the star of their own movie. And in theirs, you're an extra. So that humiliation you're rehearsing in your head, nobody else is watching the replay. Which raises an uncomfortable question. If nobody's watching, why does their approval still run your life? Because the alarm got hijacked. When your worth depends on what other people think, you hand them the remote. Psychologist Julian Rotter named this in 1966, an external locus of control. You believe outside forces, their reactions, their comments, their mood, decide your value. So your self-esteem rides whatever the last person said. Now layer on the second trap. Negativity bias. Baumeister and his team published the paper in 2001. Bad is stronger than good. Negative events carry more psychological weight than equally strong positive ones. One piece of criticism outweighs 10 compliments. So your brain scans for disapproval like a smoke detector wired too hot. Then comes the third trap, social comparison. Leon Festinger, 1954. We have an innate drive to evaluate ourselves by comparing to others. Upward comparisons to people who look better off quietly drag self-esteem down. Now plug that ancient circuitry into Instagram, into a feed of curated highlight reels. You're not comparing yourself to your neighbor anymore. You're comparing yourself to the best moment of the most polished version of 1,000 strangers. And here's the trap snapping shut. Approval is a moving target. The bar moves every time you clear it. So the chase never ends until you change the game entirely. Change the game. Take back the remote. The first move is flipping locus of control, from external to internal. You stop validating yourself against their reactions and start validating against your own chosen values, your standards, your code. Then comes the move that does the real work. Adlerian psychology calls it the separation of tasks. Popularized in the 2013 book The Courage to be Disliked by Ichiro Kishimi and Fumitake Koga. The principle is sharp. How another person judges you is their task, not yours. Trying to control their opinion is overstepping into a task you can't actually own. You're playing a game you cannot win. Freedom starts the moment you let their judgment be theirs. Then there's acceptance and commitment therapy, developed by Stephen Hayes. Name the fear, diffuse from the thought, and act from your values anyway. Not when the fear is gone, with the fear still there. Because here's the part nobody tells you. Disapproval is the price of authenticity. If literally no one ever dislikes your choices, you're not free. You're living somebody else's life. So how do you actually rewire this? 5 moves. Tonight. 5 moves. Do them tonight. 1. Name it. When the fear of judgment hits, say the words out loud. I'm having the thought that they're judging me. This is called cognitive diffusion, from Stephen Hayes' ACT research. Prefacing an anxious thought that way measurably cuts its grip. You're no longer fused to it. You're watching it. 2. Run the spotlight check. Ask one question. Will anyone remember this in a week? Almost never. Gilovich's research is your reality check. The audience is barely watching. 3. Clarify your values. Write down 3 things you actually stand for. What kind of friend, partner, professional you want to be. Then act from those, not from fear of judgment. Values are a compass. Approval is a weather vane. 4. Run deliberate disapproval reps. Do one small thing others might mildly judge. Wear the bold outfit. Voice the unpopular opinion in the meeting. Send the awkward text. You're proving to your nervous system that rejection is survivable. 5. Practice the separation of tasks. When someone disapproves, say silently, "That's their task, not mine." Keep your hands off it and lower the stakes one more time. You are not that important to their day. They're worried about their own. That isn't an insult. It's freedom. You'll never fully stop caring what people think. That alarm is human, and it's not going away. But you can move the dial. From their approval to your values, from being liked to being real. Name the fear. Run the spotlight check. Act from your values. Let their opinion be theirs. Self-mastery isn't not caring at all. It's caring about the right things. This is the inner edge, where we take the science of self-mastery and turn it into things you can run tonight. If this rewired how you see your own approval-seeking, subscribe. Master yourself first. Next time, how to actually focus in a world built to fragment your attention.